Good afternoon. If you could please find your seats. My name is John Nusper, professor of political science here at St. Louis Community College. For those of you that were here this morning, you know that it was a great morning, great speakers, and I look forward to a great afternoon. I have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker, Dr. Kearn Schemm, Jr., lawyer, U.S. diplomat, human rights activist, and vice president of the German World Alliance. Dr. Schemm will speak about the international conflict with German culture. Beginning in 1914, attacks against ethnic Germans in the United States started with small changes, from ending publication of German language newspapers to eliminating the requirement of German language courses in school. The small changes turned into larger changes, which will be brought to our attention through Dr. Schemm's lecture. Dr. Schemm? Thank you very much.
My topic today is the war against German culture. It's a topic that probably impacts many of you, given the fact that Missouri was settled to a large extent by Germans. In fact, according to Professor Don Toltzman, Missouri is almost 40% of German descent today. Can I have a show of hands of how many of you in the audience are of German descent? It's a bit more than 40% of this group. The topic impacts me since I'm a third-generation American of half-Germanic ancestry. The other half's Irish. I was born in Newark, New Jersey, in a hospital founded as the Newark German Hospital, and now known as Clara Moss Hospital after its most famous nurse who gave her life trying to help Walter Reed find a cure for yellow fever. The reason that the hospital is no longer named Newark German is the war against German culture and language, which continues to this very day. Things German, however, were not always negatively stereotyped. Let me ask you a few questions, and let's see who knows the answers regarding some positive aspects of German culture. When was the first anti-slavery protest drafted? And what language was it in? Who can answer that one? Okay, Hans?
Okay, it was German, that came to the United States first. Okay.
Okay. I'll give you the rest. It may surprise you that the first time anybody protested against the institution of slavery in the United States, or what became the United States, was in the year 1688, a German language protest against slavery in Germantown, Pennsylvania. Second question, who founded the first public library in New York? You might hear I come from that area. I'll answer it for you. Germans. Who founded the first legal aid society in the United States? You got it! You're pretty good. Okay. It was founded as the Deutsche Rechtsschutzverein, German Legal Aid Society, and it was incorporated in New York City in 1876. Now, the term German today has many implications to many people. I'd like to take a moment now to have a few of you give me your thoughts when you hear the word German. Please don't be shy. We need to know how your ideas have been molded. Let's make a column of positive stereotypes and of negative ones. Okay, who's got a positive stereotype of Germans? Who's got one? Somebody's got to have a positive one. Okay, the man with the hat. Precise. I don't know how to spell that. Precise. I think that's precise. What? Hardworking. I don't know. Organized. And one more.
Dependable.
Beer drinkers? Okay, that's positive? I don't know. My grandmother didn't think much of that with my grandfather, but beer drinkers, okay. Okay, I'll do one more, dependable. Well, you guys are ruining my speech. Okay, now let's go, unfortunately, to the other side. What about the negative stereotypes that we hear every day about Germans in the United States? And I'm going to tell you, every place else in the world, including Germany and Austria. Nazi, the N-word. First one. Okay, what about militarist? Obey. Warmongers. How about barbarians? Well, that's a bad name for them. Okay, you can see, in this crowd at least, there's a few, maybe even a majority of positive stereotypes, but we still come up with a whole bunch of negative stereotypes, which we hear every single day of our lives, and which impact us. The negative stereotypes were not always so. While many think of Germans as militaristic or well-organized, Leo Tolstoy, in War and Peace, gave a very different opinion of the martial qualities of the Germans. And I quote Leo Tolstoy, "Awareness of disorder became a general conviction, but now ascribing the cause of the disorder with particular pleasure to the muddle-headed Germans, everyone became convinced that the harmful confusion taking place was the doing of the sausage eaters." That's Leo Tolstoy's opinion of the martial abilities of the Germans in 1878 or so when he wrote War and Peace. It was socially acceptable to be a German and be proud of it. Queen Victoria, you heard of her? Spoke only German until she was 3. Her son, Edward VII, spoke English his whole life long with a German accent. Queen Victoria once declared, "The German element is one I wish to be cherished and kept up in our beloved home." She even went so far as to tell her cousin, King Leopold of Belgium, that "my heart is so German." The Queen was not alone in her feelings. On the eve of the First World War, a group of eminent British intellectuals published a remarkable open letter. It lauded Germany as a highly civilized country with a culture that has contributed greatly to Western civilization, racially allied to ourselves and with moral ideas largely resembling our own. 2 days before German troops invaded Belgium, the letter called for British neutrality, arguing that the war against Germany would be a crime against civilization. While the First World War was what started the hardcore war against German culture and language, there had been rumblings before the U.S. entry into the war. And the person who voiced these rumblings in the U.S. loudest was Theodore Roosevelt, who said on Columbus Day 1915, before the U.S. entered World War I, "There is no room in this country for hyphenated Americanism. A hyphenated American is not an American at all. The one absolutely certain way of bringing this nation to ruin, of preventing all possibility of becoming a nation at all,